Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're diving into the world of Oscar Wilde's classic play, The Importance of Being Earnest, to explore how this brilliant work of literature can be a powerful tool in learning and improving your English language skills. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced learner, this play offers a fun and engaging way to expand your vocabulary, master grammar, and improve your listening comprehension, all while enjoying the sharp wit and humor of Wilde's writing. We'll take a closer look at how the play's rich dialogue, cultural context, and clever wordplay can help you understand idiomatic expressions, develop your sentence structure, and even enhance your pronunciation. Plus, we'll explore how Wilde's sharp social satire and exploration of identity offer deeper insights into both language and culture. So, whether you're reading the play for the first time or revisiting it, stick with us to discover how the importance of being earnest can help you learn English in a fun, interactive, and insightful way. Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, written in 1895, stands as one of the most brilliant and enduring comedies in English literature. Its wit, wordplay, and social critique have made it a timeless classic, remaining relevant for contemporary audiences as much as for the Victorians who first encountered it. Wilde's sharp satire and playful exploration of social norms, identity, and love offer a multifaceted work that not only entertains but also subtly critiques the structures that govern 19th-century British society. Through this play, Wilde challenges conventions, exposing the ridiculousness of societal expectations while offering a deeply ironic portrayal of the pursuit of love, marriage, and social status. Satire of social conventions. At the heart of The Importance of Being Earnest lies Wilde's satirical portrayal of Victorian society, particularly its emphasis on social status, marriage, and reputation. The play takes place in a world where appearances are paramount, and where individuals often value social respectability above all else. Wilde's critique of these values is encapsulated in the characters' constant preoccupation with names, titles, and inheritances. The two central characters, Jack Worthing and Algernon Moncrieff, both create false identities to escape societal obligations. Jack, who lives in the country, invents a wayward brother named Ernest in London to justify his escapades and to lead a freer, less constrained life. Similarly, Algernon adopts the identity of Ernest to escape the expectations placed upon him by his family and society. Wilde's ridicule of this obsession with appearances is evident in the characters' approach to marriage, which they treat as a social contract rather than a romantic union. For instance, Gwendolen is enamored with Jack under the belief that his name is Ernest, which she insists is a prerequisite for marriage, while Cecily similarly falls in love with Algernon, thinking he is named Ernest. Both women, despite their intelligence, are completely blinded by the superficiality of names, highlighting the absurdity of Victorian ideals that equate social status and an individual's name with their worth. This critique extends to the play's exploration of love, suggesting that, for the characters, romantic relationships are often a matter of social convention rather than genuine affection. The role of identity and double lives. A key theme in The Importance of Being Earnest is the fluidity of identity and the double lives that the characters lead. Both Jack and Algernon lead double lives, carefully crafting separate identities in order to escape the responsibilities and expectations of their real selves. This theme of duality is symbolic of the conflict between public and private life in Victorian society. The play presents a society where personal desires are often suppressed in favor of outward respectability. The creation of fake identities becomes a means of asserting individual freedom within a restrictive social framework. Wilde uses humor and wit to explore this theme, turning what could be a dark commentary on the falsity of social conventions into a light-hearted farce. Jack, who goes by the name Ernest in London, wishes to marry Gwendolen, but she insists that she can only marry a man named Ernest, which forces Jack to uphold his invented identity. Similarly, Algernon's decision to assume the name Ernest is motivated by his desire to woo Cecily. This absurdity highlights the fragility and performative nature of identity in a society that values surface over substance. The character's deceptions culminate in the play's famous revelation that both Jack and Algernon are, in fact, named Ernest, a twist that uncovers the humorous and ridiculous lengths to which they have gone to create artificial identities. This resolution, however, suggests that the boundary between real and fake identities is porous, and Wilde implies that social identity, far from being an inherent quality, is something constructed and mutable, manipulated for personal gain. Wilde's use of wit and humor. Wilde's mastery of language is another distinguishing feature of The Importance of Being Earnest. His use of epigrams, or witty remarks, throughout the play elevates it beyond simple comedy. The characters, especially Lady Bracknell, are often vehicles for Wilde's sharpest observations about society. Lady Bracknell, the epitome of Victorian propriety, delivers lines that are both hilarious and piercing in their critique of social class and marriage. For example, when discussing Jack's suitability as a marriage partner for her daughter, Gwendolen, Lady Bracknell declares, "To lose one parent may be regarded as a misfortune, to lose both looks like carelessness." This line, delivered with complete seriousness, mocks the cold, calculative approach to marriage that was often practiced by the upper classes, where personal loss or emotional connections were secondary to social considerations. The wordplay and puns are also central to the play's humor. Wilde's quick, clever exchanges between characters create a rhythm of dialogue that not only entertains but also underscores the absurdity of the world they inhabit. For instance, the recurrent use of the name Ernest becomes a symbol of the play's satirical tone, as the name itself is imbued with a sense of moral uprightness and seriousness, despite being completely disconnected from the true character of those who adopt it. In Wilde's hands, language becomes a tool of both comedy and critique, revealing the contradictions of a society that values form over substance. Conclusion: a critique of Victorian society. Ultimately, The Importance of Being Earnest is a scathing yet brilliantly executed critique of Victorian society's superficiality, particularly regarding its rigid views on marriage, social class, and identity. By turning societal conventions into subjects of ridicule, Wilde exposes the absurdities of a world obsessed with appearances and titles, where individuals must navigate a maze of expectations to survive. However, through the lens of humor, Wilde avoids preaching, instead using comedy to reveal the complexity of human nature and society. The play's clever satire, combined with its farcical structure and sparkling dialogue, ensures its place as one of the most enduring and influential works in the comedic genre. Through this work, Wilde achieves his goal of combining entertainment with intellectual insight, demonstrating that the most profound social commentary can, at times, be delivered with the lightest touch. Here are some important quotes from Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest and an explanation of their significance in the context of the play. These quotes showcase Wilde's wit, social critique, and the comedic nature of the work. 1. To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, may be regarded as a misfortune, to lose both looks like carelessness. Lady Bracknell, Explanation: this line, delivered by Lady Bracknell, is one of the most iconic moments in the play. It illustrates her ridiculous sense of propriety and the emphasis on social status in Victorian society. In this line, Lady Bracknell is talking about Jack's, Worthing's, background and his parents' deaths. The comment is humorous because Lady Bracknell treats the death of two parents not with sympathy, but with judgment, seeing it as carelessness rather than tragedy. The quote highlights Wilde's ability to use comedy to critique Victorian social norms, especially the way society is obsessed with appearances and how personal misfortune is often viewed through a cold, judgmental lens when social class is concerned. 2. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Algernon Moncrieff. Explanation: this line is spoken by Algernon, one of the central characters who is known for his wit and irreverence. Here, he cynically comments on the complexity of truth, suggesting that it is rarely straightforward and often involves complications and contradictions. The quote reflects Wilde's philosophical view on society and the complexity of human interactions, especially when it comes to the double lives the characters lead. Both Jack and Algernon are leading deceptive lives, creating false identities to escape societal pressures. Wilde uses this line to point out that truth is subjective and often masked by the superficiality of social expectations, especially in a world that values appearance over substance. 3. In matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Gwendolen Fairfax. Explanation: Gwendolen, in this quote, emphasizes the importance of style over sincerity in matters of serious concern, which is a satirical reflection of the superficial values in Victorian society. Gwendolen's obsession with Jack's name, his assumed name Ernest, is a prime example of her belief that superficial characteristics, such as a person's name, are of greater importance than genuine emotions or deeper qualities. Wilde is mocking the mannered pretensions of the upper class, highlighting the absurdity of a society where appearance and outward forms, such as a name or title, matter more than genuine feelings or actions. 4. I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest. Jack Worthing. Explanation: this quote comes near the end of the play when Jack discovers that the name Ernest, the very name he had adopted to create a false identity, is not just a fabrication but an essential part of his true identity. The play on the word earnest here is both literal and figurative. While Jack has been living a lie under the name Ernest, he eventually understands the significance of being earnest, meaning genuine or sincere, in both his identity and relationships. The moment is comedic because it shows that Jack's entire journey of self-discovery has been built on a misunderstanding of the concept of earnestness. Wilde uses this ironic twist to reflect on the absurdity of societal expectations, where the quest for sincerity is often tangled in a web of deceit and superficiality. 5. The only way to behave to a woman is to make love to her, if she is pretty, and to someone else if she is plain. Algernon Moncrieff. Explanation: this quote is a satirical comment on the attitudes toward love and courtship in Victorian society, particularly the way men often viewed women as objects to be won or pursued based on superficial qualities. Algernon's flippant attitude toward relationships reveals the irony of Victorian romance, where men's interactions with women were often guided by their physical attractiveness rather than genuine affection or deeper emotional connections. This quote critiques the romanticized notions of love that were prevalent in Wilde's time, underscoring the cynicism and self-interest often lurking beneath the surface of what was considered polite society. 6. You can't deny that the most serious things in the world are the things you laugh at. Cecily Cardew. Explanation: this line, spoken by Cecily, suggests that humor and laughter are not simply trivial or light-hearted but can actually be a way of confronting serious truths. Wilde often used humor to comment on social issues, and in this case, Cecily's remark reflects Wilde's belief that comedy can be an effective tool for highlighting the absurdities and contradictions of society. The fact that Cecily, a young woman, delivers this line adds to the irony of the play, as she is making a sophisticated point about the seriousness of life while simultaneously being part of a comedic farce. The quote also hints at the central theme of the double life, suggesting that the most absurd situations often contain elements of truth that should not be ignored. 7. I am not really wicked at all, sir. I am only a little mad. Lady Bracknell. Explanation: this quote is a comedic twist on the typical expectation of a morally upright character. Lady Bracknell, who is the embodiment of Victorian respectability and propriety, humorously admits to her own madness, yet does so in a way that highlights her complete disregard for the seriousness of the situation. Her acknowledgement that she is only a little mad is a perfect example of Wilde's use of irony to critique the absurdity of rigid social codes. It suggests that everyone in society, even those who seem perfectly respectable, is caught up in the insanity of social expectations and norms. Through Lady Bracknell's character, Wilde exposes how social conventions often force individuals to behave in contradictory or nonsensical ways, and humorously critiques the veneer of respectability that hides true emotional and moral complexity. The quotes from The Importance of Being Earnest reveal Wilde's unparalleled ability to blend comedy with social critique. Through ironic dialogue and satirical remarks, Wilde exposes the absurdities of Victorian society, especially its obsession with appearances, class, and the institution of marriage. The humor in these lines allows the audience to laugh at the ridiculousness of these societal norms while also recognizing the deeper truths about the human condition. Wilde's wit and wordplay elevate these quotes from mere comedic lines to sharp reflections on the contradictions inherent in society. Learning English through literature, a case study of the importance of being earnest. Learning English through literature offers an engaging and immersive way to understand not only the language itself but also the cultural and historical contexts that shape how people communicate. Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest is an excellent example of how literature can be used to improve language skills, enhance vocabulary, develop an understanding of grammar and syntax, and refine comprehension abilities. Below are several ways in which studying this play can help learners improve their English language proficiency. 1. Expanding vocabulary. One of the most immediate benefits of reading The Importance of Being Earnest is its rich and sophisticated vocabulary. Wilde's writing is known for its wit, wordplay, and clever use of language, making it an excellent resource for learners seeking to expand their vocabulary. Through the dialogue, readers are exposed to both formal and informal language used by characters of different social classes, including complex adjectives like insufferable or ridiculous. Descriptive phrases such as a delightful country home or exquisite manners. Idiomatic expressions like to be earnest, in the moral sense, and to break the news. These new words and expressions are often explained through context or character interactions, making them easier to understand and remember. Learners can also create vocabulary lists and explore the nuances of each term in relation to the character's social positions, which helps reinforce their understanding. 2. improving grammar and sentence structure. Wilde's play is a treasure trove of varied grammatical structures. The syntax and sentence construction and the importance of being earnest demonstrate both formal and informal speech patterns. Students can learn to recognize how sentences are formed, how tenses are used, and how punctuation plays an important role in shaping meaning and tone. Formal structures, for example, Lady Bracknell's speech often follows a formal, more structured grammatical style, using complex sentences with relative clauses. To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. In formal dialogue, in contrast, characters like Algernon and Jack use more conversational, casual language. These shifts help learners observe how grammar adapts based on context, purpose, and the relationship between speakers. By analyzing these examples, students can become familiar with sentence types, including declarative, interrogative, and imperative sentences. Additionally, Wilde's use of punctuation, especially the clever use of dashes and commas for comedic effect, provides insight into how punctuation can influence tone, rhythm, and meaning in English. 3. Mastering idioms and phrasal verbs. English idioms and phrasal verbs often appear in literature, and Wilde's play is no exception. The characters frequently use phrases that may not be immediately understandable without prior knowledge of idiomatic English. For instance, to be earnest, this phrase in its literal sense is to be sincere or serious, but Wilde also plays with the concept in a punny way, as the name Ernest itself becomes a symbol of morality and seriousness. Earnest business or nonsense, these words are used frequently in the play to convey absurdity or exaggeration, adding layers to the language. Through the play, readers are introduced to these phrases in a fun and relatable way, helping them understand the cultural meanings behind certain expressions. By identifying idiomatic language, learners can better grasp the subtleties of English that native speakers use in everyday conversations. 4. Understanding social contexts and language registers. The characters in The Importance of Being Earnest represent different social classes, and each character has their own distinctive way of speaking. For example, Lady Bracknell's language is formal and elegant, while Algernon's speech is often witty, irreverent, and playful. This provides an excellent opportunity for learners to explore language registers, how language changes depending on who you are speaking to, your status, and the formality of the situation. Learners can practice how to adjust their language according to the audience and situation, distinguishing between formal, informal, and colloquial speech. The juxtaposition of Lady Bracknell's haughty manners and the more casual tone of characters like Algernon or Jack allows readers to understand how different levels of formality impact communication in English. 5. Enhancing listening and pronunciation skills. Though reading a text is essential, using literature as a tool to practice listening and pronunciation is also crucial. Many productions of The Importance of Being Earnest are available as audiobooks or live performances, where learners can hear the lines performed with the proper tone, rhythm, and pronunciation. Wilde's play is particularly helpful because its dialogue is often fast-paced, full of clever repartee, and full of puns and wordplay. Listening to actors perform the play offers an opportunity to focus on how words are pronounced, the use of intonation, and the rhythm of English conversation. Learners can shadow or repeat lines after listening to actors, improving their pronunciation and ability to understand spoken English in a more authentic, fluid manner. This exercise also helps to familiarize learn.